let's get to some Cubs stuff here because the Kyle Tucker trade is something that could potentially happen within the next 48 hours. It seems like the Astros, whether it's the Cubs or someone else, are pretty committed to flipping him in the next 2 days. Now, there's been rumors floating around about, okay, what is the final piece to the Cubs puzzle for the package going to the Astros? And it seems like a foregone conclusion. Isak Paredes and probably Seiya Suzuki could be headed to Houston. But what are some of these ancillary parts, or maybe not so ancillary parts, that are a part of that? And knowing that Kyle Tucker only has 1 year left on his deal and is no guarantee to sign with you, would you be okay parting with some of the top pieces in your farm system for Kyle Tucker?
Not really, no. I would not be okay.
You have names that you would let go of and names that you would definitely not let go of.
I'm not interested in giving up a premier prospect for on top of what you're already giving up. You're giving up 2 starting players. Seiya still can be unlocked, and he's up and down. I'd rather have my world Kyle Tucker with 1 year, but I'm not giving him a prospect. Like, they didn't even get they got the 4th prospect from the White Sox for a young Garrett Crochet, who they got 2 years of control. I'm not, no.
How much does Tucker cost in 2025?
Not a lot. 18, 19?
So it's basically a wash for 1 year, because I'm looking at, say, I think you guys were talking about the incentive for the Cubs to make this trade and not without re-upping Tucker is that you clear the deck with some of the salaries, right? Isn't that what you're saying?
Yeah, I believe you gain about $6 million in space.
Which is nothing for a big market team.
I won't even buy you a Matthew Boyd.
Right. So I don't understand how that rearranging of the money is really a huge incentive here. Because in 2026, it says here that
it's not that singular deal. You're going to get rid of Bellinger's money too.
And then you also get Seiya off the books for next year too.
Yeah, and then you're going to start playing some of your younger players. Like if you trade Nico, you get his money off the books, and you're going to start playing Matt Shaw.
I will say this, though. Kyle Tucker is a better player. He's the best player of all those guys mentioned. Yes. But if you subtract Seiya, you subtract Paredes, you also subtract Bellinger, those are 3 good hitters out of your lineup that you're taking away. Those guys that you're talking about, Silvy, that need to come up and play, there's a lot of pressure on them to immediately be good.
Yeah, they have to be good. Like the young guys, it's about time that some of them start producing.
But at that point, you're not expecting this team to be, a deep run into the postseason team, right? At that point, what you're trying to do is give some of your young guys an opportunity to prove.
You better use Bellinger's money this year. If you're clearing Bellinger's money and you're getting a pitcher in return, there's been some talk about getting a Yankees prospect, or maybe, like, there's been multiple deals I've heard about. But if you get a prospect in return, a high prospect for Bellinger in return, use his $27.5 million, or say you have to pick up $5 million and you clear $20+ million. Use your $20 million on something else. Like, all you're doing is you're rearranging your money differently.
Where's your level of confidence that they will use that money instead of bank it?
No. They'll use it.
Oh, they will.
I think they've used, what I've told you is they like to spend about $220 or $230 million. Not that they shouldn't spend more. They should spend more. That could be true too. Jed Hoyer, if we compare it to college football, like we were just talking about, is looking to run his team like the college portal. He is looking to exchange these players 1 year at a time. He's no longer like building it long term, and he's also signing mid-major talent. There's too many mid-major guys on this team. None of them are premier stars. Even their high-priced players are mid-major talents. Seiya Suzuki is not a star player. Seiya Suzuki's a good player. Ian Happ's a good player. Cody Bellinger's a good player. Dansby Swanson at times is a good player. Nico Horner's a goodish player. They've got too many good players, and they don't have any great players. They have a pitching staff that doesn't have a great starter on there, and I know you're going to tell me last year Shota was a great starter. I don't know if you're going to get Shota next year pitching like he pitched in his rookie year. I think he exceeded a lot of people's expectations.
At least you've got Matthew Boyd coming in to give you 10 or 12 starts. That's $1 million a start, isn't it? About $1.5 million a start.
So my point is, instead of spending $20 million a player for a bunch of good guys, it's time you could pay some of these guys $10 million to just be average. Pay a couple guys $40 million to be great.
Let's do it.
I'd rather have a few great guys than just a team full of good guys and win 83 games or 85 games.
And that's what Kyle
That's why
Tucker.
you should re-sign Kyle Tucker. Sign him up.
That's what. Yeah, like that's.
And by
he
the
is
way,
a great player.
Casey Close is his agent, not
Boris, yeah.
So maybe you could buy him out of free agency. Maybe he won't visit free agency if, in fact, the Cubs do the unthinkable and buy him out of free agency. He'd be worth it, wouldn't he?
You have to ask yourself this question. If Kyle Tucker was a free agent today, would the Cubs be in on the bidding?
Well, based on previous...
Do they have Bellinger on the roster?
Well, it looks like they're not going to have Bellinger on the roster.
So
Don't we
let's say
believe
no,
it's
yeah.
imminent that they're getting rid of Bellinger?
Yeah, I would agree with that.
So then I would think they would have to be in on it, right?
You would think so.
That's what I mean. Then if that's the case, then you should start. Now, Jesse doesn't believe they're going to start negotiations until he plays with the Cubs. Whether that's a him decision or a Cubs decision. I don't know.
It's going to take a big number, though, after what Soto just got.
And I don't love just investing 1 year, then being a college basketball program and then looking to replace him with another guy like him. I hate that. Isn't it time they build something?
Yeah.
Yeah.
With this farm system where you could have players who are on your roster for cheap, and if they produce, like, you could have cheap years of guys like PCA, Michael Bush, if Matt Shaw and guys like Cam Smith come up too. Like, you could have Owen Casey. Like, that is your time to capitalize. So you almost look at it in a sense like a rookie quarterback window too, and it's a collection of guys that are impactful for your roster, and you don't have to pay them all that much.
You hope. How many of these guys ultimately pan out to be the players that you're hoping for? It's not a huge success rate, right? And that's why sometimes what you have to do is package some of your guys and make deals for them, knowing that not all of them are going to hit.
If you take the Cubs and White Sox salaries and put them together for 2025, how many million short will they be of the Mets payroll?
Well, the Mets were the highest payroll last year, right? And then you added...
Alonso's a free agent, but...
You're adding what? Is it $65 million a year? Isn't that what is... I don't know, do the math, 15.
They're probably going to be at least, if the two teams combined, they're probably going to be less than $100 million less.
I guess.
Yeah.
They're going to be less. You put them together, they're going to be cost less than the Mets cost.
The Mets are going to be over $300 million.
I would think
correct?
so, yes.
Especially if they bring back Alonso.
And I wouldn't be surprised if the Mets add more.
Yeah, and the Cubs and the Sox together will probably be under $300 million.